All right, guys, we are back. Let me know now. We should. Okay. Okay, here we go. Another week of technical difficulties, like I figured it would happen. But all right, we're gonna bring Stacey back in here. Stacey, how are you?
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Good, good. It looks from my system, it does look like your audio is working this time. So,
Okay.
Tessa, I see you in the chat already. Do you guys hear Stacey and myself? Okay. All right, perfect. All
Yay.
right. So, yeah, let's I'll just quick do the intro one more time. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Raw Intuition Health Show. We're on episode 6, so we're kind of getting things rolling here. And today we have an incredible guest, Stacey Heiney from the Herban Farmacy. And I love how they spell it. It's herb like the plant, and then pharmacy like the farm. And so yeah, she is a certified holistic nutritionist and a lifestyle wellness mentor. And so she's the perfect person to bring on here to share some wisdom and some inspiration with you guys. And we're going to talk today about shocking changes that we both experienced when switching to a plant based diet. You know, things that I never saw coming for sure. It's something, I didn't get into this for any of these reasons. So it was a eye opening experience for me, and I'm curious to hear what experiences Stacey's had as well.
Love it. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me on your show, Matt. I can see big things happening for your show already. I mean, that new sign behind you is
Yes,
just going to take you to the next level.
thank
I
you
mean,
so
so
much. Yeah,
legit. Look at the colors changing. It's so cool.
yeah. It actually has like 5 or 6 different settings. You can have it,
So
do different
cool.
things, but this one seemed most appropriate. So
I totally need one for the Urban Pharmacy. Oh my
yes,
gosh, I love it.
yeah.
And like I was saying earlier before we had some technical difficulties, you and I have talked multiple times before through other plant-based events that we've done together. And we're always talking about how plants have changed our life. So I think that this is so timely and
Yeah.
needed so that people can get inspired. I also want to share that to add on to what I do, I'm a newly certified plant-based coach through the Food Revolution Network.
Wow.
So if people are interested in getting certified themselves, it is a wonderful program. I mean, not that I needed another certification, but I don't think I'll ever stop, you know,
I'm the same
learning.
way.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just like, what's next? I was talking to my husband this morning. I'm like, should I become a doctor? And he's like, why
Right.
would you do that?
I can
I'm
see
like, just
that.
because I just want the letters behind my name to
Yeah.
make, I want people to understand how powerful living a wellness, a, a plant forward life is.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about all of that today. So anyway, sorry. Side note there.
Yeah, no. I'm the exact same way. Like, if I could just dedicate all my time to taking different certification courses and just learning, I just love to learn about lifestyle and health. And so,
Same.
yeah, and it's great to be able to pass along that knowledge, and that's why I'm glad you're here. So,
Yeah.
um yeah, so oh, and as with every show, guys, if you stick around, which I hope you will, to the Q&A section at the end, one lucky person asking a question is going to get a free ebook copy of 5 Star Digestion. So we'll send you that. Just send me an email if you win, and send it to Matt at myrawintuition.com, and I'll get you that ebook for you. So stick around for
Awesome.
that. All right. So do you wanna start us off with your first, like, what is something that you just never saw coming when switching over to this lifestyle?
Okay, so here's a vivid memory of when I transitioned first. When I first transitioned, which I don't know, like 14 years ago, maybe now. Um, I first transitioned to a plant-based lifestyle thanks to, well, it was multiple reasons, documentaries and things. It was kind of like a cascade effect. And then I got Alicia Silverstone's My Kind Diet
Hmm.
book. That was like where I really started connecting all three of the things, the planet, the animals, and health all in one. And I started making her macrobiotic focused recipes. And I really started feeling so energized. And I had gone on this camp that I had to do for 2.5 weeks as an adult in college. It was a college adult course that we had to be like, we had to learn about hospitality. I was in exercise science, and we had to learn about how to run a camp if we ever wanted to do that. And by the end of that 2.5 weeks, I had really no like outside access of junk foods that I would have normally, grabbed for, like all of the sugary things and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had been plant-based for a few months prior to that. But when I got home from that, my husband and my sister were like, what happened to you? Like my energy level, it was the energy. My energy levels were like a 5-year-old. And my sister was like, you're seriously acting like you used to act, in grade school and stuff. And I personally, Matt, I definitely got bad conduct grades in school. I was always in trouble for being the one talking, and like I was so bubbly. That was always on my report card. But that's another reason why I homeschool my child. I don't want him to have to be contained,
Right. I
I'm
hear you.
like, I had to sit in my seat, like, and I'm like,
Yes.
but yeah, my energy levels completely skyrocketed. And that was one of the first things that I totally noticed. Because prior to that, I was depressed. I was laying on the couch every time I ate, thought it was normal that to just be tired after I ate. And it was the energy. So that was my first major insight to what a plant-based life could do for me.
Nice. I definitely experienced the same thing as well. So that's not one of the ones that I wrote down, but yeah, I can totally relate. Yeah, it just brings back like the child in you, right? It's like that
It really
curiosity,
did.
that's the energy. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want me to keep going? Or are you gonna share one now? Are we gonna
Yeah,
go back and forth?
sure. Yeah. Yep. That works. And mine, okay, so my first one is it I could have made, each one of these things a different point, but I just kind of lumped it all together. And it's basically just all of the different health conditions that improved or completely disappeared for me. Like asthma,
Oh,
eczema, sore
goodness.
throats. I used to get sore throats all the time. They were like the most annoying thing ever. And I literally have not had a sore throat since getting into this lifestyle. So it's been over 12 years. And I would get them, kind of frequently before that. So that's one thing. Blotchy skin. So when I was in 8th grade, I was playing basketball at the Y, and the two kids, or one of the kids that we were playing against, I was going up for a layup, and he came and he smacked me in the face and he broke my nose. And ever since then, it like my nose especially, but just my face in general, I would get really blotchy. It would get like red at just like the slightest change in temperature. So like living in Minnesota, it gets pretty cold. So I'm like Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer going around, and it's just like it was embarrassing, and it made me self-conscious. And that went away. Like I had no idea that was even anything that could be affected by the way that I ate or my lifestyle. But that went away, and so that was super eye opening for me. Um, the spare tire around my waist, that went away. I always struggled with that, and I really think it had to do a lot with like the whey protein powders and things. So that was always into like working out and things, and eating a lot of protein and things like this. And I think that caused some issues with my, probably hormones and my gut microbiome and all these things. So I always kind of had a spare tire, which went away on this lifestyle. Constipation is another one that just completely, I had no idea was even related to my diet, which kind of seemed crazy to me now. But, I used to go, at least a couple days between bowel movements, and they would, come out dry and, uncomfortable to pass. And yeah, and that completely went away. Now I go 2 or 3 times every single day, nice and smooth, super easy, and I love it. It's like a little party in the bathroom.
It's
Uh,
party. It's true. If you hear
yeah,
Dr. Will Bolsowitz, like he's
yeah,
talks about how like it should be pleasurable to go to the bathroom.
yes.
You should feel wonderful after and not stressed and tired. And I love that. It's awesome.
100%, 100%. Toxic thinking was another, chronic issue that I had dealt with. Not only like the weird blotchy, skin tone from breaking my nose, but also hair loss. When I was like 16 or 17, I started to lose my hair, and that really affected my self-esteem, and just like I got super focused on it, and that was like all I could think about, and it just created a really toxic, you know internal environment for me, and I was just always self-conscious and things. And so which also led me to drinking more alcohol, because I felt more confident and more free to be myself when I was drinking. And so this lifestyle gave me confidence without alcohol. It really just changed my internal environment and just helped me to see the value in myself outside of physical, my hair or whatever.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's see what else. Fear of public speaking was another one. I was terrified of public speaking. I was really bad. I remember in college, in my public speaking class, I was a complete mess. Like, I don't even know how I got through that class. But
Same.
now I could do it, so it's like, I don't know. It just like I said, the mental aspect of the whole thing was a huge, just eye-opening experience that really started from the beginning. Ever since I started with a 10-day juice fast, and since then I was just like, whoa, like completely who I was changed, like how I viewed myself changed, all these different things. So that's my
Wow.
first one, is just so many things that I had no idea would be affected by changing my lifestyle, completely, resolved themselves. So that was pretty impressive
Wow.
for me.
Okay, and that's just one of your things? I mean, come
Yeah.
on. That was
I
like 20. I mean, but listen, I can totally relate to the eczema. I used to get hives all the time.
Me
I
too.
also had asthma. So I can relate to those very, very much. Those all went away. And that was another thing. Like, I got the energy and then I started running. I mean, I was literally the last girl, always the last person to end the 1 mile race in school. And
Yeah.
my face would be like purple because my detoxification pathways weren't open. I had problems and I had chronic bronchitis. All the time, and I would get strep throat yearly.
Mm.
Now that sometimes, yeah, that still rears its ugly head, but that's viral, like in your body. It's hard to get that stuff out. I'm working on that right now, thanks
Nice.
to COVID, having that 3 times.
Ooh.
Viral overload is not cool. But anyways, if I weren't living this this plant-based lifestyle,
Hmm.
like I really don't know if I would have made it through the COVID years. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Um, because my immune system was obviously such a wreck and my gut was such a wreck. And that's, a direct reflection with those hives and the eczema and not being able to get over sicknesses. So I totally relate to that. And then, oh goodness, what else did you say that I was like, oh, same here. Shoot. There was multiple things, but that was really transformative. Oh, you said the fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I can directly put that into, directly say, well, eating plants helped me, public speak. But at the same time, that kind of goes into my second thing that I wanted to mention. And it's definitely not scientifically based, but actually probably we could find some science to support this.
I'm
Like,
sure.
here's the deal. My vibe changed. My entire like energetic existence changed. I was prescribed to Adderall like early on in like junior high because I had ADHD. Again, they had to calm me down I couldn't focus. And I I totally had a grip on the way that I reacted to my life and the way that I showed up, and my vibration changed. So like my frequency changed when I changed what I was eating. Now a lot of people in the plant-based and the raw movement could say, like, well, if you stop putting dead things in your body, like you're gonna have a different way of existing. And truly, I think it's just, a myriad of things that the plants helped me do. Helps, your gut, it helps your mind. And that truly did help me show up in a different way. And I too, in my public speaking class, I got up there and I like fake cried. I like cried, but I was just like trying to tell a sad story. It was a real wreck. And now, I mean, look at me. I've got my own podcast too, and I'm like on video all the time, and I
Yeah.
have confidence. And I think that really this lifestyle has given me not just the energy, but like the a different vibration so that I can show up and like serve people. And if I weren't living this life, if I were not eating all plants, I really don't think that I would be anywhere where I am right now. Like I truly think that I would be kind of living a standard American life, like, you know, every weekend, kind of doing the
Yeah.
party thing, even if I have a child, like, coffee in the morning, wine at night type of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I'm so, so thankful that now on my weekends, I'm, connecting with like-minded people. We're getting this message out. Like this is a whole vibration of itself, right?
Yeah.
And we're healing people. And since we have healed so much, like it's just like you can't help but to help, you can't help but to want to help others.
Yes.
So that was my second main thing. Like I really just feel like my entire ethos changed, like
Mm.
the way that I show up and the way that I live and vibrate, if you will, just
Yeah.
goes outward. It's a frequency.
Absolutely. I could, yeah, I could say the exact same thing. Yeah, it's amazing. Just everything about how you show up in the world changes, and yeah, helping people to that's why I really started my YouTube channel,
Mhm.
was because I wanted people to feel that same vibe change that can inspire, following your passions and your purpose in life. Because that's actually my second thing that I wrote down, was that
Mhm.
it helped me find my passion. It helped me create a life of purpose and following my passion. And
Yeah.
I also used to be big into the bar scene. I used to just, be content watching movies all day, sitting on the
Right.
couch, order a pizza, have the guys over, play some cards, which is still fun, but when that's all that you're really focusing on, it's like, are you really fulfilling your purpose? Are you really expressing what you truly are here to express? And that's, what raising my vibe and expanding my awareness helped me to realize, was that I wasn't doing that. And it made me almost addicted in a healthy way to finding out how to better express myself, how to better, you know, follow the path that was more in alignment with my soul's, desires, my intuition, and doing the best that I could to share, what I do think that I came here to share, and to make a difference with. And first of all, I when it came to books, I hated reading. I think I maybe read like one book front to cover or front to back, my entire first 25 years of life. And I just hated reading. I hated studying. I hated schoolwork, things like that. And once I raised my vibe, like you said, and, just became more in tune with, my inner voice and all these things. I started to realize how much I actually loved learning. I loved understanding my body and understanding how to, help myself and then also to help others. And so that's one of the biggest things that I noticed was just the change. Oh yeah, I was going somewhere with that. And then I have 4 books of my own. And you mentioned, yeah, you mentioned Alicia Silverstone. She actually promoted. She made a few stories on her Instagram with my children's book that I wrote
Oh,
back. Yeah, I wrote this children's book in 2017 called Vegan Adventures with Barnyard Friends. That was my first book that I wrote, and it was just kind of a fun little project that was inspired really by just my absolute disgust kind of with the realization that I had been contributing to so much pain and misery through my lifestyle unknowingly, and causing this to animals that I you know care about protecting. And so I wrote this book to help other children, and it's not a non-graphic, it's a very approachable book. And yeah, I sent it out to a bunch of different people, not really expecting them to share it or anything, but some of them did, and Alicia Silverstone was one of them, and I was super surprised. I was like, it's pretty cool to have her, she was reading it to
wow.
her son. So yeah, so that was really cool. um but but
That's
yeah.
a vibe.
Yeah.
That's the whole, the frequency thing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So,
God, that's so awesome.
yeah, I mean that was just another big thing was helping me find my purpose. I love making information, like I love using concepts and creative ways to help people understand things that can otherwise maybe be confusing, especially with, all the different uh, you know people out there, all the different sources of
Wow.
information that we have now these days. Um, and so, yeah, giving people a way to understand this information as easy as possible and as fun and easy to remember is something that I really like doing. I always would make like mazes and different. I do a lot of projects growing up, and I love to be creative, and I wanted to be an inventor. Actually, that was one of the big things I wanted to do when I was a child. I wanted to invent things. So I was always coming up with different little inventions to try and make. But yeah, making these books are probably my best inventions so far, and I'm just couldn't be happier with them and the responses I've gotten. So yeah, it's just one example of how eating this way changes how you see yourself and the potential that you have to impact others along with yourself. I think, as they say, you got to help yourself before you help others. And it's so true. It's like once you focus on improving yourself, it even without even trying to help others, you help others because you're now an example, and you emit just this energy, this vibe that other people, even if they don't consciously recognize it, they subconsciously, they're feeling your energy. They're kind of, seeds are being planted. And I think there's nothing more powerful than being an example of health and integrity and these sorts of things that, I think we need more of in the world. And so that's what I'm thankful for, that I really never expected that to happen. And so that's my second one.
That's awesome. So vibration, frequency, purpose, they all kind of go together. And I want to just add, like, that's a reason why, this whole lifestyle kind of goes in like a circle. And I just got back from Ethos Farm Project in New Jersey, where
Cool.
there are multiple doctors, and Dr. Weiss owns this, prehistoric, this historic land, like preserved land. It's like 200 or 350 acres of what used to be like cow farms, and he has healed the land, and he's working on, making it a regenerative organic farm, and and helping to heal his patients on the farm with the food and through lifestyle medicine. And that just kind of plays into what we're doing as well. My husband and I, we have a farm, and never did I know that like we would be at a farmer's market, like sharing produce with people. For the love of God, like, no, like Kyle and I did not used to live this life at all. And, that's what we do on our weekends these days. And like,
Yeah.
it just, once you feel the effects and you're able to stick with it, which I think is the hardest part, Matt. Like, I think that we can all agree a juice cleanse, a detox, whatever it might be, a kickstart, a 21 day, like, journey, that's, people can do that, but it's the
Yeah.
maintenance. That's where you feel the real shifts. Like, you're going to feel better initially, but if you want to really feel like and change not just your life, but the lives of others, you've got to stick to it. And once we stuck to it, we're like, well, now we're good at gardening. Like this, let's do that. And let's share this with the people. So it just really goes like full circle.
Yeah.
And I love that you're sharing your purpose. And I will also say, and I'm not trying to get like all spiritual on people or religious, but something that actually changed my life a lot was a book that my grandma got me, a super religious woman. She gave me the book from Rick Warren. He's a pastor in Texas, and it's called The Purpose Driven Life. And it has like daily like devotionals, or if you will, from like the Bible.
Yeah.
And instead of me listening to like one a day on Audible, I actually listen to it whenever I feel stuck. And I just listen to like day after day after day, and I'll just go on a long walk. And that has actually helped me a lot, because it asks you a lot, like, what on earth are you here for? And I think a lot of people are not feeling aligned with that, like whatsoever these days. They're just like, I don't know. Like, I have clients that have told me, well, I don't have a vision, because I have them work on their vision, their future vision. And they're like, I don't have a future vision. Like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, we need to get present, and we need to be in our body here, right? Like, to do that. So, anyways, that was a little sidetrack. Now, I guess I could go on with my next thing, but what I really actually want to say is what my husband told me this morning, because I asked him what happened for him when he went plant-based. And while he doesn't have the same like desires and drive as I do, he understands the science. And I'm not trying to put men in a box. But typically men are a little bit more analytical. They want to get the evidence. It's like, she's just trying to make me eat this vegetarian like food. Like, what is that? No, like, when he started learning, when I was going through one of my certifications, mainly the one through Cornell with T. Colin Campbell and his son, he would come home from his 9 to 5 when he was still eating the standard American diet after I went plant-based for several years before that. He was totally overweight, inflamed, terrible back problems. Oh my Lord, a lot of problems. And, was told that he had to take, acid reflux medication for the rest of his life, all of that. He started hearing the science, and this was before we had our son. And I was like, if you ever have a child, like, you need to have this energy that they're talking about. Like, you want to prevent these diseases so that you don't, die young, which, by the way, multiple of his friends, like, he's 43, multiple people have had either heart attacks and triple bypass surgery right now, like already, or have died.
Wow.
Just in the last year and a half. It's been pretty crazy. So he's really woken up to it. And it's been years now that he at least completely plant-based, if not 95%. Especially if he travels with corporate. Sometimes that's like cheese and stuff. And he doesn't feel well after he eats that. But he told me 3 things that actually changed for him. And I think that if any men are out there listening, this might be inspirational. He said he doesn't have the 2 o'clock slump anymore.
Mm.
He doesn't have acid reflux anymore. And his joints don't hurt anymore. Now, this is coming from a man that I looked outside of our house window. I don't know, what was it? 6 years ago, 7 years ago. He was on the ground. He was trying to put mulch down on the outside of our house, and his back went out.
Oh.
And mind you, he was overweight. Okay. And he couldn't move. And he told me this morning, now, fast forward to now, he literally stops working his 9 to 5 on Monday through Friday, and he goes out to the farm every day. And he's out on the farm right now, and he is farming. Like, he is like going up and down. And he said the last thing is that his joints don't hurt anymore. Like that, there is total hope. If there are people out there that are listening that have joint pain and like that their back is going out all the time, they have, like you said, that ring around their waist. It doesn't have to be that way. And plants will be one of the most expedited ways to get to feeling better. So I wanted to share his transformation, because that was, I mean, he really has transformed in so many ways, but he just easily rattled those 3 things off. It was awesome.
Yeah. Wow. And as a man, I definitely can relate to all of those. Yeah, I experienced all of that. My back never went out, but definitely, hits home. So yeah, thank you for sharing his experience as well. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
So my last one, and I kind of struggled to determine which one I wanted to use. There's a few different ones I could have went with. Just as a side note, my coordination, I've always been a pretty coordinated guy. Like I've always been pretty good at sports, especially like bar game or like yard games type things. Those are like my, if I could make a profession out of being just a yard game player, I think I'd do pretty well. But since getting into this lifestyle, and I didn't want to make this one my third point, but like my golf game, I've never played better golf since living this way. When in high school, and I was captain on my college golf team, and I'm better now than I was when I was younger. And so it's really weird how it just, like, I think it's a lot of it is the mind, but also it's just being more connected with your body and that sort of thing. So that was one that I was going to go with, but I also wanted to mention that my sensitivity to synthetic chemicals has completely elevated. Like I cannot, if I touch clothing, like say I go to the store and I want to try on a shirt, if I put on that shirt, I feel the chemicals that they have in the clothing, right? It's like, it kind of gives me like a tingly, like burny sensation. So just that alone, or if I'm like standing on new carpet or something, these fabrics that are like soaked in formaldehyde and different, flame retardants and things, those I can literally sense it when I touch those things, where I never experienced that. I never noticed anything like that previous. And then EMFs, like if I put the phone up to my head, like I haven't put the phone up to my head for over a decade, like many years. But if I do, if I'm like, maybe I have like once or twice, and if I had, I notice I get like, like I can feel it. I can feel it on my head. So I recommend nobody put the phone up to your head if you're still doing that. Use airplane mode, or maybe like headphones, but just try not to put that right up to your head. And then let's see, perfumes is another big one that gets me it's like immediate. Like I go out to the store, if I walk by somebody wearing a synthetic perfume, it's like an instant headache for me, and like I can feel it in my throat. So it's like, a lot of these chemicals that I used to wear myself. I used to wear cologne all the time. Like, I'd be
Yeah.
dabbing it on my neck and just spraying it all over myself.
Right by your thyroid, right by that
Exactly. Put it right
thyroid.
on the glands. Yep, right there. And so, and yeah, these chemicals are endocrine disruptors. So you're putting it right on the endocrine gland right there. So, um, yeah, like just the alarm systems in my body. And that even goes with, eating unhealthy, like way back. I like 6 months into my journey, I had some food from a restaurant, and I literally, it made me sick for like a week straight. I couldn't
Mhm.
couldn't leave the bathroom, and it just showed me that the alarm systems in my body have completely elevated to the point where if I start consuming or coming in contact with chemicals or other things that I you know that aren't healthy, my body
Mhm.
lets me know like right away. Whereas before I could use that stuff, didn't even notice, it wasn't, never even crossed my mind. Felt completely normal, normal is how I felt back then. And so, I had somebody mention to me like, why would you want to live in a way that you are now more sensitive to things like this that made you feel bad? And I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like my response was, well, I don't. Would you want a smoke alarm that gave you, that had a 10-minute delay to let you sleep an extra 10 minutes if your house was on fire? Like, no, you'd want
Right.
that alarm to go off right away. And same
Right.
with your body. Like, I don't want to have, defense systems in my body that don't tell me right away when I'm doing something or coming in contact with something that is dangerous to me or that's harmful. I want to know right away so I can stop doing that, so I don't, you know, continue to do it until I receive a diagnosis. I think that's what
Right.
most people are doing. They've numbed themselves down so much. Their alarm systems don't, don't give them a strong enough response until, they're at a point where they're receiving a diagnosis. So
Yes.
yeah,
Like,
those were the other ones that I came up with. There was actually more, but those were the two I thought would be
oh,
interesting.
there's a lot. There's a lot, right, that we could say, Matt.
Yes,
And that,
yes.
like what you were saying, it's like the rain barrel effect. Like if you've heard of Dr. Stephen Cabral's rain barrel effect, or I'm
Oh,
not sure if he coined
that's new
that,
to
but
me.
yeah, he's great. He's a chiropractor, and he's, you know,
I'll check it out.
not fully plant-based, but that doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
he really has a lot of amazing information. And I think he actually has a book called The Rain Barrel Effect, and now that I think about it. But
Okay.
you know, the people are dealing with chronic illnesses and what we might call, stealth illnesses or unexplained illnesses that their general practitioner has no idea about, and they're just like, look, your labs are normal. I'm not sure what's going on. They're not testing for mold, they're not testing for viral overload, and things like that, uh, or even just markers of inflammation that most people are walking around with due to these chemicals, of concern. And I will just say I am super thankful that I know more about that because of the work that I have done in the last like 8 years in the clean beauty area. I
Mm.
didn't realize that like Americans were so, especially for women, like we, well, I mean, men too. Like you said, you use cologne, but like
Hmm.
women use more products on a daily basis than men typically.
Yeah.
Um, Especially if they're using cosmetics and stuff like that, if they're putting products on their hair. Like it can really add up, and it's like this rain barrel effect where your rain barrel is just it's gonna overflow eventually, and we just can't tolerate it all, which is then when all these problems manifest, like eczema and gut issues, and not no clarity of the mind, like and we're just there's so many chemicals out there, and like you said, things that people aren't realizing. Their couches, I mean, like here's a fun story. We have 7 animals. I have 3 dogs and 4 cats.
Wow.
One of the little kittens that we rescued, she brought a flea in the house
Mm.
this summer, and I literally almost burned the house down. We threw our couch away. I went crazy. Okay.
Uh,
Like I sprinkled diatomaceous earth all over our bed. Like it was a hot mess.
yeah.
Okay. Everything's fine now. But I was like, Kyle, the couch has to go. Now, the couch was like some material that I am sure had flame retardants on it. So I'm very excited that when we do get a new couch, because we can't decide on which one to get, we're just couchless right now. It's really fun. We just
Nice.
sit on the floor. I mean, that's
Yeah.
actually what people in the blue zones do. I mean, I'm like, let's use our hips. Come on. He's like, no, I do not like this. I'm like, come on. We don't even need a couch. But anyway, we'll get another couch. And there are materials out there that don't have flame retardants on it. That, you know,
Yeah.
when we had a child, like I went down the rabbit hole on that one.
Yeah.
Mattress, crib, blankets, clothing. Like you said, there's flame
Yeah.
retardants, endocrine disruptors, carcinogens everywhere.
Yep.
If you're burning candles, you might want to make your own. If you know, like put some essential oil, it's actually not hard to make your own if you still want to have the candle situation going on. But they're everywhere. And a lot of people, like, they're just not aware of where they're all over the place. Shampoo, conditioners, lotions, cosmetics, and everything. So I'm glad you brought that up. And wow, yeah, living plant-based, it all, you know, food chemicals as well. I will say, Matt, I'm super sensitive to. I bought some potatoes at the farmer's market. Oh, they must not be growing. They must have been growing in like glyphosated soil, because I took a bite and I'm like, oh, like this tastes like straight chemicals. So you're right. And okay, lastly, on that subject of chemicals, I was getting physical therapy on my shoulder that I hurt in tennis last summer. And I had just gotten back from the Woodstock Fruit Festival. So I had been raw.
Ooh.
I don't live a fully raw lifestyle.
Yeah.
I do like my cooked foods. That's just the way that I roll.
Yep.
But I had been raw for I think I had been raw for like 3 weeks, because I went raw before I went, just to kind of get myself like in the mindset.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was talking about how I had sensitivities to all of those things, like the chemicals around us and, you know, foods and that have chemicals on them and in them. And he's like, yeah, but I mean, don't you not want to have those sensitivities? And I'm like, no, like I would rather have my body's awareness clock on. You know, I want that alarm clock on, or that alarm system on, to tell me that I have, you know, that I should be avoiding these things, because you don't have that. You know, like you're right. You can, you know, you don't get that headache when the fragrance comes along. Anyways, so yeah, heightened awareness and heightened sensitivities, I think, is a good thing, because we're just living in a cesspool of chemicals.
Agreed.
Okay, I'll share my very last one.
Okay.
Inflammation. My inflammation went down. I didn't realize how inflamed I was. You know, I didn't give up. Dairy was the last thing that I gave up, that I broke up with. And I was inflamed. I was really inflamed. I was uncomfortable in my clothes, not because my clothes were too tight or too small, but I was just, like everything felt so, like I didn't like to wear sports bras. I didn't like to wear my athletic pants, anything tight. It made me feel really uncomfortable. And I think that tight clothes sometimes can be uncomfortable, regardless if you're inflamed or not. But like, I just had extra sensitive skin. It just felt like something was like, I was just poofy all the time. And that was not fun at all. So inflammation went down. All of the feelings of being inflamed went down. My gut felt less irritated after I ate. I just felt more comfortable and confident in my clothing. I did lose weight, actually. I didn't need to lose weight. Like I was never in the overweight category, but I lost weight without even trying. And I was eating more, which was so awesome, because I love to eat. So that was just kind of the last thing that I want to share with people. Inflammation down. I was happy about it.
Nice. Yes. When I look at pictures of myself back in the day, I'm like a balloon. Like I can just I can just see it. It's just like, man, how did I function in that condition?
Yeah.
Incredible.
I functioned with Tums and with Advil and with, you know, like if something felt wrong, I took a medicine for it.
Yeah.
If I didn't have enough energy, I took an Adderall.
Yeah.
If I did, you know, if I had a headache, Excedrin migraine with the caffeine in it. If I was tired, give me a coffee.
There you go.
You know, like there
Yep.
was always just a band-aid approach instead of simply removing the things that were overflowing my rain barrel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I hope it's inspiring for people. I feel like we have so much wisdom and insight.
I'm inspired. I'm just inspired, but yeah, this has been a great episode, and I'm actually going to look into that the rain barrel effect. Is that what you called it?
Yeah, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to get that one.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, totally this episode. I haven't seen any questions come in yet. I hope you guys are getting your questions ready because we're about to go into the Q&A session. But yeah, I mean, there's just an unlimited amount of opportunity, an unlimited amount of like improvement that we can all experience, and the best way to do that is to stop introducing, barriers to your optimal health. And I think when you go on the plant-based diet and you start to just clean out all the junk, get rid of the processed foods, the animal products as much as possible, and the chemicals that you put in your home and put on your body, that is going to start to just completely like blow away the fog that, I felt like I had a fog around me. I didn't actually feel, I felt it afterwards. I realized
Right,
that I did have a
right.
fog around me once I started to clear it out. And it just, that was normal for me before. So
Yeah.
it wasn't something that I was like, like what, I just feel kind of foggy. But no, once I got out of it, then I could see just how, subdued my awareness and my internal, fire was. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's incredible.
Life changing.
Yes. Um, all right. Well, let's unless you have anything else to add quick, we can get into the Q&A session.
No, let's get into the Q&A session. Does anybody have questions?
Yes, let's do it. All right, we're gonna hop over to the Q&A room. So let's head over
Okay.
there. Here we go. Here we are. We're in the Q&A room here. So guys, yeah. If you have any questions, please let us know. Let's see. Tessa already plopped one in there. She says, I want to know if Stacey believes in colonics.
I do. Currently at this time in my life, I do. I do.
Have you have you gone through them or?
I have done colon hydrotherapy. I did that in like 2018. Um, uh, I didn't tell this story, but after even after I went plant-based, and I'm not attributed to this, is definitely not because I went plant-based. This is because I was on the birth control pill for like 15 to 16 years. After I went off of the birth control pill, my thyroid crashed because I was just synthetically being, hormonally fixed for 16 years straight. So I'm still on a healing journey with that. And with low thyroid, you can have problems with motility or not feeling like things are moving along. And, even though I was exercising and eating all the right foods and supporting my gut microbiome, I wanted to do that. Plus, not just that, I wanted to just kind of detox add that as part of my detoxification protocol. So that was kind of my like gateway into, oh, you can actually go up the other end and like clean it out. I didn't know that.
Yes.
But yeah, you can also, I have done like enemas before as well with lemon juice or coffee. There's some science showing coffee enemas can be beneficial for, the liver.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I think that can be part of a holistic approach to health. However, we also need to be aware of what it can do to our colon microbiome and the bacteria within it. We don't want to be flushing out all the good stuff all the time. So I think that that's something that people need to be really aware of. I do think it can be part of a holistic approach to wellness, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I did colonics and enemas and the lemon juice and coffee enemas as well. So
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's just another tool that people can take advantage of.
Yeah. Good question.
Yeah, great question, Tessa. Let's see. Ziggy wants to know if I use vegan protein powder. No, I do not. I am not I used to be big into protein powders. I have since changed my opinion on them. I think, honestly, I think that is, like I said earlier, I think that's one of the reasons why I had the spare tire. I think it was
Yeah.
just giving me, extra chemicals and, extra empty calories and things that, were just not really being utilized by my body correctly. I don't think concentrated protein sources like that are beneficial,
Mhm.
based on what I've seen and read. And yeah, I think just getting whole foods, is going to give you all the protein you need to. I've never had any trouble, building muscle without protein powders. If I just eat enough food, that's all that I need to be as fit as I desire. I could definitely be more, I don't really go to the gym. I've maybe gone to the gym a few times in my life, actually. I usually just work out at home. I do, basically push ups, pull ups. I have some dumbbells that I'll do different exercises with, but um, never really felt the need to include vegan protein powders. I think you can get everything you need from just eating whole foods and exercising as much as you need to build whatever physique you want.
Awesome. I don't take them. I have talked about and promoted like complement protein before because it's like seeds.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, it's not like super isolated, but
Yeah.
I agree. Like I think that just taking things in isolation sometimes is not necessary.
Yeah.
Um, I'll take some like isolated like herbs and tincture form and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, um, yeah, I agree. Full, whole plants is best. Unless somebody is having like absorption issues, maybe a protein powder would be needed. But
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
or
There's
like
the
or like tofu or tempeh or something
right.
like that, just higher in protein versus a powder.
Yep.
No. Yeah.
Totally. Totally. Let's see. How do you feel about creatine? You have an opinion on that? I don't. Again, I think my opinion is basically the same as the protein powders. I don't think your body creates creatine, so I mean your body should create what you need. That's my understanding, but I haven't looked too much into it, so I don't know if you have.
Not for Matt. No, I don't. I have no desire to take creatine.
Yeah.
I think that's more of like a manly thing.
Yeah.
Not always, but I think I've heard Simon Hill say that it's like safe,
Okay.
but I would if I were them, I would look up what Simon Hill has to say about it.
Yeah.
Now he's really buff. So if you're looking to get super ripped,
Yeah.
I think that I used to think that it was like linked with cancer, increased risk of cancer. Maybe
Hmm.
you would want to look into that as well. But yeah, I would reference Simon Hill on that one.
Nice. Nice. Annie says, I love intermittent fasting for over 7 years. It's helped my joints better than the raw diet. Do you practice intermittent fasting?
If they're asking me, um, yeah, yeah, I do. I try. There are sometimes and I don't like to say like that I slip because it's not like I'm doing anything wrong if I am hungry.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm hungry and my body is really telling me that I need to eat, like I need to support my body. I need to support my hormones. Um, and I'm already small. So, like if I'm hungry, I eat. However, I really do feel my best if I eat early in the morning. I mean, I eat early. This is just what works for me. I eat early and I cut it off early. At least, I would say at least 5 out of the 7 days of the week. Maybe there's one weekend day that I eat later, if I'm really on it. But I'll cut it off early, like 4
Hmm.
p.m.
Yeah.
Because I'll start eating at like 6 in the morning, and I just feel I sleep so much better. I have more energy. My bowel movements are better. Like, my whole like gut microbiome circadian rhythm works better when I do that. Sometimes I'll even cut it off earlier. Like when we were going through COVID and I was like obsessed with health and I was just like, nobody touch me. I am only maximizing my health. I do not want to get sick. I was like stopping eating at 1, but that would require me to eat a lot of food, a lot of food earlier in the day. And that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But yeah, I typically do have like time restricted eating patterns. And it's always, for me, what works best for me is eating earlier. And the science actually shows that that's more beneficial than eating late.
Yep, definitely. And I do the same thing. My window is pretty much like 10 or 11 usually, sometimes noon even. I start my first meal, and then I try my best to be done eating before 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always happen, but I do my best. And if I can move it up to, if I could move it up to 4, that would be ideal. Because I agree. If I think the longer you have between your last meal and when you go to bed, I think that's going to optimize your sleep and the healing that you experience during your sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's see. What about cacao? Do you consume cacao?
I guess you could call that my vice. I do. I mean,
Yeah.
I do. I don't drink coffee on a normal basis. Like coffee, if I have it, it's in an enema.
Yeah. Nice.
Hopefully I don't feel stupid for saying that like a few
No.
years from now. Like, but no, listen, like that. And so like the minimal amount of caffeine that's in cacao, it doesn't really bother me. And I do think that there's benefits to cacao, like especially if you're eating it raw. Now, I like to have it with like adaptogenic herbs in like a morning drink blended with dates and a little bit of hemp seeds. It makes a really
Mm,
great drink for me. I
nice.
love it. And I also do use it in like baking for our son. Like I make these really awesome zucchini brownies that have like whole, rolled oats and stuff like that in them. And I do like cacao. I also like raw carob. That doesn't have the caffeine in it, but um, I will say that if I have maybe more than like a tablespoon a day, which is a lot, usually like a teaspoon is like a serving. And that's typically what I'll put in my drink, but I used to put a tablespoon and then realize that's too much. I do look for ones that are tested for heavy metals.
Hmm.
And I also I do find that if I have cocoa or cacao too much, it can make me break out. And
Mm.
science actually shows that there can be a link there, which is interesting. Acne and cacao or cocoa, chocolate. And I thought it was because there's sugar in it, but actually for me, it's just the straight cacao, which is interesting.
Okay. Yeah, that is interesting. Do you know? Is that the same with carob? Do you know, or is that
With
different?
acne, you mean?
Yeah, with acne.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, I've never
they're totally
experienced that with
different.
carob.
Yeah, no, I like carob.
Yeah.
Carob's good.
Cool. Sherry asked, and I think this is, I'll let you take this one, because I think it's directed at older, or not saying that you're an older woman, but you're a woman. So, Sherry asked if an older lady is exercising on a low-fat plant-based diet and wants to lose a bit of weight, do you recommend she increase her protein slightly, such as sprouted lentils, and lower her carbs slightly?
Hmm. That's a great question. At like multiple different nutrition conferences that I've been to, there has been in the last few years evidence showing that maybe at like 60, don't quote me on this, like at age 62, maybe, or maybe at 72. Again, don't quote me. I don't have this memorized yet, but like there is some good evidence showing that potentially we need a little bit more protein as we age once we hit a certain age. And I don't remember what that is exactly. So potentially adding those lentil sprouts would be beneficial. I have never heard anything though about reducing the carbohydrate intake for weight loss. Really, weight loss is going to be about calorie expenditure versus calorie intake. At the end of the day, that is what it is. Now, sometimes hormones can play a role in reducing your likelihood of losing weight as quickly as you want to. But I will say people even on the starch solution diet that are eating high carbohydrate well into menopause and perimenopause and menopause don't have problems keeping the weight off. So I would not fear carbohydrates as you're on this journey. They need to fuel you through your exercise. So yeah, I haven't heard about reduction of carbohydrate, but potentially maybe having a little bit more of the lentil sprouts could be beneficial for you. And obviously doing weight bearing, because when you have weight bearing exercises and you're building muscle, you're going to be able to metabolize calories at rest easier, which will keep your weight off.
Terrific. All right. Carl says, should I stop intermittent fasting even though I love how productive it can be, how productive I can be on it? It's simpler.
I wouldn't say to stop if you feel great.
Yeah, no, I'd keep going. Let's see. Dave says, have either of you taken Dr. Rick and Karen Dina's year-long course? It seems more thorough than T. Colin Campbell's e-course. What are your opinions?
I have not taken it. I might take it. It might be another notch in my tool belt, because I do think that raw foods have so much benefit, and I would like to know a little bit more behind the science of that. However, that's not on the top of my list. I have heard great things about it. Yeah, I think that they're evidence-based. They have sound advice, and it looks like a great course. I have not taken it yet, though.
Yeah, and I've never taken T. Colin Campbell's course like Stacey has, so I can't really compare the two. But I actually want to take both. I
Yeah.
almost took the E. Cornell course like
Yeah.
years ago, but I never ended up doing it. I did a different course, but that is one on my list that I would like to do. And Dr. Rick and Karen Dina's course as well. I want to do their course as well. It just hasn't worked out quite yet, but I do plan to do it eventually. Because yeah, I agree. I think it looks thorough. I think yeah, like you said, they're evidence based. They're very, they've been doing this for decades, and helping people learn about health and things. So they're very knowledgeable. Dr. Rick worked at True North, which is I think one of
Yeah.
the most reputable health facilities in the country, or if in the world even. So
Yeah.
I really respect anybody that has worked at True North, and so I think both of them, Doctors Rick and Karen, have a ton of wisdom and knowledge that they've accumulated over the years. So yeah, I think you would, if anybody's out there thinking about either of those courses, I don't think you can go wrong with either one. It's
Mhm.
just kind of about what your main focus is, I guess, maybe. So
Yeah, I agree. If you're really wanting to learn about the science of raw food, maybe I would do that one.
yeah.
And then if you're just wanting kind of the basis of like whole food, plant-based evidence, of cancer prevention and heart disease prevention, and what plants can do for you, and kind of a little bit of an insight in between behind the food industry, then the eCornell is really, really great. But I also would suggest, if there's anybody that's listening out there that wants to make a profession of helping people heal through a whole food, plant-based eating pattern, the Food Revolution certification that I just took was mind-blowing. Now, not just because I learned, well, I kind of knew all of the nutrition part of it, but there's 3 different pillars to that certification. So if somebody wants to make it a business, you're going to get not only the nutrition advice from multiple different doctors, like Dr. Brenda Davis and Dr. Michael Clapper, and a whole host of other doctors. You're also going to get coaching on how to be a coach. You're going to get coaching on how to actually help people in a more effective way. And you're also going to get coaching on how to build a business. So you get 3 different kind of coaching pillars in one certification. And it was just really, really good.
Oh, yeah, that sounds awesome. Sherry loves carob, and she says, "Thanks, Stacy. I just want to bet with Matt." Sherry, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. She says, as far as Carl's question on intermittent fasting, he meant in the context of making exceptions on occasion depending on family obligations.
Oh yeah. I mean, um, I've gone through periods of time in my life where like I feel like I have to fit into a box of perfection. And one of the things that I teach people to do, and specifically women to do, like, is to break free from the perfection trap. Because if you try to put that on you, it might even add more stress than if you didn't. So like if you did go to a family event and they were eating later than your time to eat, um, personally, I would eat. Like I do that on Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter when we're with our family. I'm like, I'm eating, you
Yeah.
know? And that is one of the things, like it's hard in social situations because you're like, well, I'm not eating their food. Now I bring my own food. I bring my own food. I make sure that I'm not eating anything that is animal derived or that has oil or added salt and sugar that I know that I will feel crappy on. Now, if I eat a little later, that's fine. But if, I make sure that what I'm eating is still awesome. Um, and I try not to be too hardcore on my time, especially if there's social situations, because that can just put me into a spiral of just not good relationship with my food. So
Yeah.
personally, I bend on maybe 10 times a year. And then again, if I'm really hungry and I'm like starving and I just feel like I need more food, I do nourish my body. I listen to my body. It's important.
Yeah, terrific, terrific advice. Sherry says, great advice. Thanks, Stacey. That's what I wanted Carl to hear. Flexibility in some aspects really helps. Totally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is,
Good questions.
yeah, those were great questions. And with that, and if anybody has any last minute questions, put them in there. But we're going to do the quick giveaway here to somebody that asked a question. So, incentive to put in some questions here, you guys, because each week we're giving away an ebook or some other, gift to be determined. But this week we have selected Ziggy Fox. So Ziggy, thank you for your different questions. You got a few in there, the creatine, the cacao, and I think the protein powder one. So yeah, thank you Ziggy
Awesome.
for your question, and thank you everybody else for your questions as well. Great stuff, great stuff. All right, well,
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you, Matt, for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. It's always an honor to have you, to collaborate with you and to get your thoughts on all these different things. So I appreciate what you got, what you're putting out into the world. Do you have any, before we kind of wind down, do you have any like projects going on or anything that you want people to know about?
Oh yeah, thank you for asking. Well, if anybody needs help on their journey to holistic and plant-based living, I can help. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, I do that. But I also have a monthly membership called Holistic Wellness Society, where you're going to learn all the things about plant-based living, even gardening, reducing your toxins, mindset. There's 5 pillars I teach within holistic living, and we cover all of them. There's weekly live calls, plus over like 70 hours of content already recorded, plus recipe demos and over 100 whole food plant-based recipes that are SOS free, so salt, oil, and sugar free. And I do have an upcoming webinar October 11th called Rooted in Wellness. So people can go to the herbanfarmacy.com, Herban, so urban like an herb, pharmacy, farmacy.com, and go to the event section and get registered for that there, where they can learn more about how to step into a holistic and plant-based life to break free from the perfection trap and to create epic habits that are stackable, maintainable, so that you can live a life of wellness. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm gonna link everything in the description box down below. It's actually down there already. So you guys can use the links in the description box to get over to Stacey's website. Definitely something I'm gonna. When is the webinar?
October 11th.
October 11th. All right, cool.
Yeah.
gonna sign up.
Cool.
So yeah, all right. Well, thank you again, Stacey. It's been a pleasure, and loved hearing your different experiences with, different changes that you were experiencing as you went into this lifestyle. Um, uh, we have one last second question. Do you and your husband do permaculture farming practices, or how do you farm?
Um, we do, sorry, I get a little bit confused about all the different terms, permaculture and then regenerative. And
Right.
well, we are certified organic. We use, organic farming methods, or we're also certified naturally grown. So we don't use chemicals to grow our food. Sometimes we do use machines, if that is what permaculture, I can't even remember. But we do use like machines to get all the crops in the ground, because we try to grow a lot for our local community. So I'm having a brain fart on what permaculture means. So thanks
I
for asking, but you can message me personally and I can
Yeah,
elaborate on that.
for sure. All right, terrific. Well, yeah, thanks
Oh,
for
I guess, oh, hold on before you close it off. If
yes.
people want to follow our farm Instagram handle, go to Green Growers Farm on Instagram and follow us there. Once we move out there within the next year, because we've been doing this for like 8 years and we got to get out there because this is like Kyle's never home. I'll be sharing more about growing food, using herbs as medicine, and growing herbs and growing microgreens and all of that stuff that we do. So follow along on the journey there.
Very cool. I will link that below as well.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you for your great questions and just being a part of the show and helping us, share our experiences and all that good stuff. So again, Stacey, thank you so much. And we will catch everybody next week, same time, same place. Uh, we have next week is Dr. Ben Alter. He's a naturopathic doctor, and so we're gonna talk about um, I forget what the topic is, but it's gonna be a good show. So be sure to tune
Awesome.
in. Yes, and we will see you next week. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and always follow your raw intuition.
Love it.